Hey girls, thanks so much for joining us. We're on week number 4. Can you believe it?
Seriously?
I can't believe it.
It is.
Wow.
It's week number 4. For those of you that are joining us for the first time, I'm Stacy Houle. I'm here with Jenica Berg and Lisa Niswant. Thank you so much for joining us. If you kind of wonder what's happening here, this is Flourish. This is a women's ministry of Living Word Christian Center. We're out of Brooklyn Park, Minnesota, so welcome. And we have groups meeting all over. We're kind of starting the conversation right here, kind of kicking off the groups that meet. And, you know, if you want to join a group, let us know. Like, comment here. We'd love to have you join us. If you're in the Twin Cities area, we also have a Zoom group that meets on Tuesday nights. So that's an awesome way to connect. Find us on Facebook. Also, we've got a group, Flourish, through Living Word's Facebook page. There's a subcategory. Again, we're not like professional girls. This is our hope is that you feel like you're sitting with us at our dining room table, that we're just hanging out, having a conversation. And we just want to help you to learn and grow in the Lord and in your relationships and just flourish. That's our heart.
Can I say something about that Zoom group?
Yeah.
So we have women that are literally across the country, like in all 4 time zones that are represented in that Zoom group. So if you happen to find us accidentally on YouTube and you're like, I'm not in Minneapolis, that's fine. Comment and we'll get you hooked up with that Zoom group. It's phenomenal. It's just an amazing group of women, and it's just a good option to connect, even if you're not local to us. So we're kind of trying to find ways for everyone to have a space. So
yes, because we want everybody involved in the conversation,
we do.
And want you to know that you're welcome and you're loved. So I'm going to start the message. We're kind of going to get right into it, or I guess start our conversation. I have, again, we kind of taking turns on who has the most words, and apparently I'm it. But I want to start by just mentioning a message that Jenica had shared. It was actually a year ago. It was October of 2019. And her message title was, "It's both and, not either or." You know, I've just thought about it so many times, and I feel like it's come up so many times in different areas. And because I think there's so many things in our life that conflict, right? It's not both. I mean, it is both and.
Yeah.
It's not either or.
So much,
You know, I was even thinking about how we can be excited about a season that we're in, but we can still miss a previous season that we were in. I have teenagers now. I love having teenagers. I didn't always think that I would love that, but I do love it. But I also miss having toddlers. Like, I am a toddler mama. There's no getting around it. That's just who I am. But I still am loving the season that I'm in now also. But there's always gonna be a little part of me that's gonna miss being a toddler mama, and that's okay. You know, another thing that I've been thinking about that's kind of been very real to me in this particular season is that my husband, Charlie, is actually making a career change. Some of you know that he's been a staff pastor here at Living Word for years, but what you don't know is that he was a business owner for a lot of years. He also, before he came on staff, was in sales for a season, and so he's kind of coming all the way around that mountain, and he's going back into the business world again, and he's excited about it, and I'm excited for him. But I'll be honest, I've been struggling. I've been grieving because I have so enjoyed this season of doing ministry with him. I've gotten to do that with him for like 15 years, 16 years he's been on staff. So again, I'm super excited, yet it's painful.
Right. Sure.
And it's not either or.
Nope.
It's both and. I'm excited and it's hard.
And sad.
Yeah.
And I'm grieving. So one of the things that I've learned from this year is that we can be uncomfortable, we can experience pain, and we can also have joy and healing at the same time. You know, we've talked about flourishing in seasons, and we want to move forward and kind of talk about the next few weeks. We want to look at the fight to flourish. You know, sometimes flourishing can be a fight. Because there are a lot of things that try to hold us back from flourishing. I mean, anything from insecurity to fear to hurry to that ever wonderful comparison game that we seem to do as women. You know, sometimes it's that very fight that causes us to truly flourish. Sometimes the adversity that's trying to actually defeat us is what causes us to flourish. Once we kind of push through, once we press through, it causes us to have an even more beautiful life. I know one author calls that hitting the wall. If we can push through that pain and discomfort, I think that we can grow and flourish so much more. Yeah. And I couldn't help but thinking of a baby chick. I'm kind of a visual, I like analogies and word pictures and things like that, but I couldn't help but think of a baby chick because, they have to break out of their shell. That shell for a season was actually there to protect them, to keep them safe, to help them have life. But there comes a time when that shell actually starts to hold them back. It actually restricts them from flourishing. If you've ever watched a baby chick try to break out of that shell, it's painful. It's a process that can take hours. I'm not exactly sure. I didn't look up how long that can take. But we took our kids to the state fair when they were little, and that was in the birthing barn. We watched these little chicks hatching. And as we did, everything in me just wanted to help those little fragile, little guys. I just wanted to help them out. I just wanted, we're standing there, we're rooting for them, but just watching the process was painful for me. Mm-hmm. But I also had to realize that there's so much purpose in that process. If I'd stepped in to rescue them, by peeling away some of those pieces for them, by helping them out of that shell, relieving some of their struggle and relieving some of their pain, that baby chick wouldn't survive. Mm-hmm. It actually needs to break through. It needs to fight so it can flourish. The fight is what strengthens that little chick so that it's ready to face the world. This morning, I actually want to talk about flourishing through pain. That's kind of going to be the title of this video, flourishing through pain. Because pain is something that if we don't fight through, it can actually keep us from flourishing. Yeah. So we want to look at how we do that. And let's be honest, who likes pain? I don't like pain.
I don't like pain.
Nobody
I'm kind
likes
of a wimp,
pain.
Actually, when it comes to physical pain, especially.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't like
really
physical pain, and I don't like emotional pain.
Right.
I'd rather avoid it, but we can't.
No.
It's not possible. I think of how Karen always puts it. She's like, I'd love to wrap you in Charmin and keep
wrap.
you, bubble wrap
Bubble
and
wrap.
keep you from any kind of pain. But what kind of life is that? I mean, we have to realize that with every choice in life, there's risk, and there's risk of pain. When we choose to love someone, there's risk of pain involved.
Yeah.
When we choose to get in a car, when we choose to get on an airplane, I mean, there's just risk of pain in every situation. Again, whether it's physical, you strap on a pair of skis, there's risk. But, if you choose not to, there's not, we're avoiding joy also
You're
on
missing
the
out
other
on
side of
something.
it.
And we don't grow.
Right.
Yes.
You don't grow if there's not pain.
Exactly.
Like literally lifting weights. You have to lift enough weight to cause yourself discomfort.
Yeah. Yep.
Well, and it actually tears down the muscle,
Right.
and then rebuilds stronger.
Right.
That's right.
And that's what pain, if we allow it, can do. There is a little bit of breakdown. There is a little bit of tearing down. Whether it's the shell or and it hurts.
Right.
Yeah.
But we come back stronger.
Yeah, and that's the goal, right?
Yeah.
That's what gives us hope, is
Right.
knowing that we're going to come through stronger. And that's where we really want to get to today. The first week I had mentioned, I just kind of really quick mentioned that I'd gone through some health challenges this summer. And I'd gone to the doctor actually because I had pain in my toe, which is really funny to me because 6 weeks later I ended up with a hysterectomy. Figure that one out. Who goes in? My toe hurts. Obviously, there were a couple of steps in between. When they were trying to figure out what was going on with my toe, they did some blood tests and they're like, girl, we don't even know how you walked into our office. You are so anemic. You're so low on iron. We don't even know what's going on with you. And so at some point, there were, again, a few other steps in between. They had to get my iron levels up and my hemoglobin up to a point where they could do surgery, but they decided that it was best to shut the faucet off so that, I wasn't losing any more resources. The reason I wanted to mention this is because for me, there was actually an interesting lesson in this process. My goal after surgery for the first couple days was actually just to manage the pain. I knew that it can be hard to heal physically when you're experiencing a whole lot of pain, your body doesn't relax. It tenses up. It can be hard to sleep. You can't get the rest that you need, and that's actually what allows you to heal. Mm-hmm. So thankfully, those first few days, it was really easy for me to manage the pain. They had all the drugs right. Everything was kind of, they had this perfect cocktail. I wasn't having crazy dreams. I wasn't dreaming of snakes on my floor or anybody trying to strangle me. So it was just kind of this perfect balance. But just 2 days after surgery, I knew that I had to step off some of those meds. Mm-hmm. And I knew it was time to allow myself to feel some of that pain. And again, there was just a lesson in that for me, because as important as it was in the beginning that I numb that pain so that I could heal, so that I could get that rest that I needed, it also became important that I allow myself to feel some of that pain and to feel some of that discomfort so that I didn't mask what was going on in my body.
Right.
If I had masked it, if I had continued to mask that pain, I was at risk of further injury.
Yeah.
It would have been too easy for me to assume that I was more healed than I really was. I think that we can do that same thing with emotional pain.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
We can mask it and assume that we're more healed than we really are. There may be times that we can't feel all the pain of loss or hurt all at once, but we also have to be aware that if we don't allow ourselves to feel some of that pain, we won't actually allow ourselves to heal from it.
Yeah.
So, as I was kind of preparing for that, I remembered something from Lisa Turker's book, Uninvited, that she talked about. She said, we must feel the pain to heal the pain. Remember, pain isn't the enemy. Pain is the indicator that brokenness exists. Pain is the reminder that the real enemy is trying to take us out and bring us down by keeping us stuck in a broken place. Pain is the gift that motivates us to fight with brave tenacity and fierce determination, knowing there's healing on the other side. Pain is the invitation for God to move in and replace our faltering strength with His. And I just loved how she explained that, because again, I was trying to process through and find the words, but I just think she did a great job.
Can I say something quick?
Please.
I love the idea that pain is not the enemy.
Yeah.
Pain is not our enemy. Mm-hmm. Pain is the gift that gives us an indication that something needs to change or needs to be fixed. That's so important, because really, I hear often, especially women, will say, I have these feelings, but the feelings are bad, so I'm not going to feel them. They're not good feelings, they're bad feelings. And it's like, it doesn't matter good or bad your feelings, because your feelings, I used to say this to my kids all the time, your feelings are your feelings, right or wrong.
Absolutely.
Yeah. They're
Feel
information.
Them. Otherwise, you never can move forward. You're always caught, and you're either repressing or you're trapped in your feelings, and we don't grow.
Yeah.
Well, in the same message that you referenced, it's both and, not either or. That was one of the things that I talked about, is that a lot of times we like to label feelings, good feelings and bad feelings. And that just isn't the case. And if you study out the word, God feels anger, God feels betrayal, all of these feelings that
God feels labeled, jealousy.
Yes, He does. And we're made in the image and likeness of God.
Right.
Yeah.
And so we need to not be afraid of our emotions and apologize for our emotions. They are, like you said, they're information. When we feel something, we need to go, okay, what's going on?
Right, yeah.
It's just an indicator. I mean, it's an indicator that something's going on, and that's a good thing.
Right,
It might not be a comfortable thing.
Right.
But it's a good thing.
Yeah.
I even think about that. I went into the doctor because I had pain.
Yeah.
I went into the doctor and I found something that wasn't causing me pain, that I wasn't addressing. There were other symptoms, but I didn't address them because it didn't hurt bad enough.
Right.
Sometimes pain makes us uncomfortable enough that we're willing to change.
Right.
Something that really needs to change. Sometimes we'll sit in a situation that isn't healthy for us for a long time because we're not willing, it's not uncomfortable enough, it doesn't hurt enough for us to change, but it isn't necessarily helping us heal.
Right.
It made me actually think about even the first time I came to this group, now we're meeting online or in homes, but obviously historically, we've always met at the church at Living Word in the fellowship hall, 150 women on a Tuesday morning.
Yeah.
And I knew about this group for 9 years before I came for the first time. And I kind of always watched it from a distance. You know, my kids, the first time I came, were 6 and 3. So I had known about this group, but I honestly didn't get it. Like, why would women want to hang out together? I didn't know if I liked women enough to walk into that room and feel the pain and discomfort of rejection, of isolation, of, you know, because you can be in a room with 150 women and still feel isolated.
Yeah.
You can still feel alone. Sometimes you feel more alone. And it wasn't until, I mean, at some point I just kind of had to go, okay, I need this more than it hurts.
Yeah.
And I actually had to step in and feel that pain and that discomfort. And let me tell you, there were reasons for me to not come back. But I had made the decision when I finally decided that the pain of walking through that door was harder or was easier than, you know, the pain of not entering in. There were plenty of opportunities to be offended.
Always are.
So I just want to encourage you as women, if you've been to a group and you've been hurt or things, I want to encourage you, again, that pain, that discomfort that the enemy wants to use to isolate you, you know, push into it, lean into it, try a different group, you know, or forgive the person that hurt you. Forgive them, because again, they're walking through their own journey. They're walking through their own struggle.
Well, and newness itself is distracting.
And uncomfortable.
And uncomfortable. And so also, you know, give it a couple times.
Right.
You know, just to kind of get in the groove and get to know people and, you know, and truly assume the best. I mean, you know, just most people, if they do something that's hurtful, it just wasn't intentional. I mean, they're just, they got a lot going on in their own head, or, you know, most of the time, most people aren't out to hurt you, I guess is what I'm saying.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, we're all just a little clueless sometimes.
Right. And everybody's dealing with their own stuff.
Everybody's got stuff.
All the time.
Everybody's got stuff. Yep.
So I want to read Psalm 34, verse 18 through 19. This is in the Message. It says, if your heart is broken, you'll find God right there. If you're kicked in the gut, he'll help you catch your breath. Disciples so often get into trouble. Still, God is there every time. You know, he's not just there once in a while. He's there every time. I also want to read Psalm 34:18, this time in the Voice translation. It says, when someone is hurting or brokenhearted, the Eternal moves in close and revives her in her pain. It said him, but I'm replacing it with her.
Absolutely.
You know, I just love that. And I want to look at it for a second, and I want to personalize it. It says, when I'm hurting or broken, my loving Father, he moves in close and he revives me in my pain. You know, one of the meanings of the word flourish in Hebrew is actually to revive.
That's good.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's cool.
So I want to read that, personalize it one more time. When I'm hurting or broken, my loving God moves in close and he causes me to flourish in my pain.
And you'll notice it says, in my pain, meaning there's going to be pain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The idea that there's never going to be pain is not reality.
It's not reality.
Right.
It's not reality.
Right. You know, many of you have probably heard that one of my favorite verses is Romans 8:28, and I want to read it in the Voice translation. It says, we're confident that God is able to orchestrate everything to work towards something good and beautiful when we love him and accept his invitation to live according to his plan. You know, I think he's constantly giving us invitations, but I love that it says that we are confident that God is able to orchestrate everything, the good, the bad, the ugly.
Right.
You know, we like,
Mistakes.
again, the things that feel good, look good.
Mistakes we've made. He can still work. God can work even if you've made a mistake.
Yeah,
Yep.
he's bigger than that.
Yep.
Yeah.
And he's not surprised.
No.
He's never like, what have you done?
I know. I
God
never
has
saw
never
that coming.
fallen off
But
his
no.
throne. He's
No.
still on his throne.
Yeah.
He knows it all.
Absolutely.
Yep. Well, we're going to kind of wrap up, but one thing that I want you to remember is that in your fight to flourish through pain, we have to admit that we can't do it all on our own.
Yes.
Like, we have to continue to receive God's strength. So listen to Psalms 138, verse 3. This is in the Passion Translation. It says, at the very moment I called out to you, you answered me. You strengthened me deep within my soul and breathed fresh courage into me. Girls, when we have his strength, we can flourish even in pain, even through pain. So thank you so much. That's what we have. Actually, we're going to continue this conversation next week because, again, flourishing in pain is kind of a big topic.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
Lisa's got some things more about being self-aware, because there are things that cause us to kind of get defeated in that fight to flourish in pain. You know, things that we're not aware of. If we're not aware of ourselves, aware of the struggles we're having, we're not going to flourish. So we hope you'll be back next week. Thank you. We love you so much. We'll see you soon.
Bye.
Bye-bye.